Lubramine, proud sponsors of the really useful health show, The Joint Series. Use it or lose it.
Although most of us don't realise it, the foods that we choose can either help to promote inflammation or to prevent it. There are some foods, for example, that contain arachidonic acid that will help to promote inflammation. So foods containing some meat like beef, liver, eggs and dairy products can cause inflammation in the body. And so can foods that are cooked at very high temperatures. So for example, barbecued foods, chips which are deep fried. The diet that most of us are on, which is high carbohydrate and low protein, is actually disrupting our blood sugar. And what happens as a result of that is the body pours insulin into our system, and eventually we become insulin resistant. It's important to try and have a good balance in your diet. So you can have a moderate amount of organic chicken, for example, plenty of oily fish, lots of fruit and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and olive oil. And you can have a pretty enjoyable way of eating. You just need to avoid things like the trans fats and the hydrogenated fats. So if you look at labels when you go to the supermarket, if anything says trans fats or hydrogenated or even partially hydrogenated, then you want to avoid it like the plague. In fact, it should have on the label, warning, this might cause inflammation. Scientists know that enzymes called COX-1 and COX-2 cause inflammation. And that's why if you're suffering with arthritis, you may be offered the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. They also know that the COX enzymes are more active and cause more inflammation when we're eating lots of omega-6 fatty acids in our diet. Omega-6 essential fatty acids are commonly found in many of the processed foods that we snack on. They're also found in fried foods, margarines and other spreads, and some of the oils that we commonly see in the supermarket like sunflower, safflower and soya. So it seems that we're often inciting inflammation in our own bodies without having the faintest clue that we're doing it. Now we know that inflammation is connected to obesity. And interestingly, we know also that obesity is connected to arthritis because we're putting lots of pressure on our joints. And it's those fat cells that are producing the proteins that encourage inflammation, which is another good reason why we should be reducing the number of fat cells. So what can we do about this? Well, we can concentrate on having foods that reduce inflammation, that inhibit the activity of these COX-2 enzymes. So we want to go for things that contain lots of antioxidants and phytochemicals. So things like fruits, vegetables, salad, nuts and seeds, and you can even have some tea and some red wine in moderation. It's a good idea to add 2 3-ounce serves of seafood into your diet each week to decrease the body's inflammatory process. You'll find the highest level of omega-3s in fish like salmon, herring, pilchards, mackerel and sardines. If you're averse to fish, then it's probably a good idea to think about taking some fish oil supplements. It's an interesting story. It's a man called Dr. Gary Beecham from the Monell Chemical Senses Center, who was in Sicily tasting olive oil, and he noticed that he had a burning peppery sensation in the back of his throat, which reminded him of the sensation he had when he was tasting ibuprofen and aspirin, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Further studies have shown that a substance in olive oil called oleocanthal prevents the production of the pro-inflammatory COX-1 and 2 enzymes. So it reduces inflammation in the same way that the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs do. Interestingly, the stronger flavours of olive oil have the highest levels of oleocanthal, so it may be worth your while shelling out a bit more for the extra virgin olive oil. Something else that we see on our supermarket shelves practically every time we visit is green tea, and that has also been shown to block inflammation, as it reduces down the inflammation in the body associated with arthritis. As a result of studies like these, scientists are starting to feel that green tea may have a major role to play in treatment in the future. In the next show, I'm going to be looking at how supplements can help to ease your joint discomfort, so do join me.
Lubramine, proud sponsors of the really useful health show, The Joint Series. Use it or lose it.